Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
Go.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to the E-Tims podcast. My name is Desmond, and I'm very glad to say, via a mixed sort of coverage, I am joined tonight by our resident tactician, Hector Bandido. Good evening, Hector.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hector's looking very, very relaxed, sitting in his lounge, or one of his many lounges up in the suburbs. But then we skip over the water till we see the man complaining that we've interrupted his midnight feast. Monty C. Burns. What does the C stand for exactly? Casserole? He's been moaning for the last 5 minutes that he can't enjoy his food. Listeners, apologies, Monty, for dragging you away from your plate.
Well, these things need done. Good to see you, lads. How are you?
Yeah, because the last time we did a podcast, we had to watch it eating from Portugal. So I'm wondering if you're still on Portuguese time. But
No, I've shifted time zone at this stage, so we're all good.
That's good, excellent. And then we strangely have, folks, obviously you're listening to this, but we're on Skype video, and we're getting to see a beautiful coverage of the hard shoulder of the M62 motorway by the looks of it. Ralph, how's your journey going at the moment?
It's all right, actually. It's calm, it's cool. These smart motorways, they just make life so much easier. Unless, of course, you have a crash and then the ambulance can't get to you.
We could get him to do a podcast with just him talking.
A journey with Ralph. A journey around my. What would that be, Ralph? What Staffordshire is it? What area are you in at the moment?
Norman, Lancashire just now.
Oh, yeah, deepest, darkest Lancashire. Really, I think that is a Channel 5 series waiting to happen. The only thing I'm worried about.
Could we get him another camera so that when he's whizzing down there, he's like Richard Hammond, on the Grand Tour or Top Gear?
Yeah, I think
so
maybe
that's. He gets to see the road, and he gets to talk into the camera as he gets really fucking angsty in his drive and tells us about how comfortable the Tarrier carrier is and just really gets into it. I think it would make a visual episode.
That's what we're saying, Monty. It's a far more appealing view we're getting now than the normal Ralph Fizzer. It has to be
so this one camera then. So fair enough, I'm with you, Hector.
Apart from Spadetown Brewery, Lurgan, the home of that lovely lager, we tend to avoid sponsorship, which Monty's currently drinking. We tend to avoid sponsorship and adverts. But if anyone out there is wanting to give us a few handycams for Ralph's transit van, then we're more than welcome to start up a new E-Tims presents Ralph on the Motorway video show on YouTube. I'm sure that'll go doing well with your fans. We did have one person, Ralph, who's looking forward to the podcast and did ask would the dogs be available, but Hector and I aren't sure if he was asking for no dogs, really, just in a subtle way. So hopefully the dogs are okay.
Right, can you fucking lock the dogs up? Is that not what the guy said?
Right, okay, so basically we normally don't have a podcast as quickly after a recent podcast as we have tonight, but as everyone knows, there's a very special reason for that. But before we start, I've got a few shout outs to do, right? So first of all, a big shout out to James behind me, who's a big fan of Hector's rants, he told me.
Thank you very much.
So I don't know if you'll have any tonight, Hector. It may be the other side of the coin. It may just be happiness from you.
Positivity.
Exactly. Positivity.
Theme of the night.
Positivity CSC. So James, I hope you enjoy this one, even if it isn't as ranty as you like them. And the celebrity fan, Paul English, who sits along from me, I was talking to the other night, and it should have been 6. We had a discussion at half time, and it should have been 6 goals. That was a general consensus. A special mention for our youngest fan, which is young Master Joe Healy of Octararda, who said he really enjoyed the show. So I said I'd give him a shout out.
Is that the home of the Proclaimers, Octararda?
Octararda, yeah. It's a very posh place. I think
it is. I think they moved there from Leith, yeah.
And then I've got a very special shout out to Eddie in the cab, who popped up today on Twitter to say he's really looking forward. When we announced we're doing this podcast tonight, he announced that he's really looking forward because that will help him pass the time in the cab. So hopefully Eddie has not veered off the road almost like Ralph this did there. I'm looking in the bottom corner of my screen.
Did you see the size of that wagon there?
Yeah, that imaginary fortune.
He was tuned to the CD or something.
So hopefully Ralph's all right there. Right, so and the first question I have for everyone before we start tonight, has everyone prepared? Is everyone fully prepared? Has everyone done their Hatate style stretches? I don't know if you saw that at the warm-up. Yeah, Hector's currently doing it. There's Vern, there's Monty doing it, reaching up there and touching your opposite thigh with the other hand. A very Highland dance style warm-up. It was up there with Diego Maradona, I thought.
But was it no?
Diego Maradona for Napoli.
And please don't take this. You know, people like the jump on you, right? But if you're talking about movies and films, it was the end of the Karate Kid when the boy one leg. That's exactly it, isn't it?
Daniel LaRusso.
That's it.
You tortured me for wanting. I was looking forward to my era doing some fucking kung fu kicks if it all kicked off. Like,
that's too far.
But it is. It's like that stance he does at the end of the Karate Kid before he kicks a guy in the face.
No, you look like there, Hector. Given your age, especially, we're the same age. You look like Big Judd Nelson at the end of Breakfast Club, as he walks. It's at the very end shot of Breakfast Club. And you're probably one of those long trench coats too up in the suburbs.
I've got a son-off shotgun. Have you not?
Right. So.
Do you know when you're talking about Hatate there? Have you noticed in the huddle he doesn't actually bend over? He still stands up. Everybody else
is at the same level as everyone else, though, doesn't it?
Oh, come on now. Monty, you're 2 for 2 now. Another one, another striking you out. I know you're hungry and you're trying to get dismissed. We can see this constructive dismissal. We know exactly what game you're playing here, mate. Don't start that nonsense.
I only say it because there was a clip at the end where Joe Hart hugged him and you realise he's 5'5".
Exactly. No, but we'll come to that bit. But so thanks very much everyone for joining us as always. We're very grateful for listening in. We've got so much to cover. Hector did suggest we could maybe get this in an hour, but I think he has been very optimistic. Given when I started typing up the agenda for this, and you wouldn't believe we actually have an agenda, but we do. I started off with the Saturday. This is before we get the Wednesday. I had the Saturday, then we had the Monday. Then we'll get something on the Tuesday, and then we'll get the whole of the Wednesday. So, Hector, we're going to forget all about Wednesday for now. Let's just build up to it in the podcast as well as we did last week. Let's start with the Saturday. Rangers at Ross County. A sensational result. I think, if you're brutally honest, were you watching it? Did you listen to it?
Yeah, so I think I'd put it out in our chat. So it was my wife and I were on anniversary on Saturday. So we're going away in the afternoon. Missed the home game. Right, I'll come to that in a wee minute. But I caught their game as a 12:30. So when I left the house, I think it was it 2 each? I think it was 2 each in their game, right?
Yeah,
we're about an hour and a half here drive. Anyway, we got away. Until we parked up, checked WhatsApp. I think it was you, Monty, who put on. I think County must have scored deep in injury time. I went, you're dancer. Words to that effect. I said as we arrived at this country place, somewhat say where it is, right? So we checked in. It was great. Checked in, a couple of drinks. You know yourself, the game's on. They've dropped 2 points, and I'm thinking it's my anniversary. I can't go away and watch it, right? But then the miraculous thing happened. My wife went, "Would you mind if I went away in the bath?" And I went, "Oh, fucking yes!" Right? Shut the door, and I put Radio Scotland down. I've not listened to a game on the radio for years, right? And it was 30 minutes, 20 minutes to go, nothing each. And you know what the radio's like, it's torturous, right? And I'm thinking, no, don't blow it. Bitton sent off, oh, for fuck's sake, don't blow it. So we get to this point, coming up to 90th minute, 10 men, balls out wide, Juranovic, Jota puts it in, oh, it's a touch, it's a goal. Now, man of my age, I shouldn't be in a place in the middle of the country, booked into a hotel, shouting, "You fucking dancer!" at the top of my lungs, right? I should be beyond all that sort of shit. But that just shows you the sort of impact it still has on you. And then that was it. So that was my night was made. We went away and had our dinner and that. But that was unusual. So I didn't know their score, and I caught the last 20 hours on Radio Scotland. And it was just torture. Wonderful torture as it turned out in the end, though, Desi and guys. But it was torture, not seeing it.
I hope you'll forgive me, Hector. I've known you for a long, long time, but I'm sure there's a lot of listeners like me sitting thinking it was your anniversary and your wife decides to go and get a bath. So obviously that she's an old romantic.
There's the first strike for him. You can take the boy out of Tony Glenn. You can never take Tony Glenn out of the boy.
I had to include Saturday, especially that Ross County game. I know a lot of Celtic fans. I don't agree with it because I love seeing Rangers suffer. A lot of Celtic fans always play that I couldn't care less about them.
Oh, they do. Of course they do.
I hate, right? But the guy, and I go to football with a good friend, Andy. Andy's 69. Only fun is at that night, but 69.
Year above you at school?
he was a year below me. I was his prefect. So we were in the car, so we parked behind the Marnock station, and we managed to get parked like say 500 yards further forward than we normally get. So we're a wee bit early. So we're sitting in the car, Radio Scotland's on. So it's like Rangers are easily defending this lead. They've come back twice, they've done so well, they've been really great, and it was blah, blah, blah. Andy hates Rangers even more than me, right? He hates anybody even talking nice about Rangers. So he opens the door, he opens the passenger door and goes, "Come on, let's go. This is like 2:15, let's go. I'm not listening to this shit." I mean, that guy's licking Rangers' ass. I went, "Oh, come on, just wait a minute. It's only 3 minutes to go." And I swear to God, the commentary goes, "Ross County won a corner." Not why we're just sitting, then suddenly the ball comes in. McGregor spills it, as you say, I'm hitting the horn, the other horns are going off. You see all the Celtic fans walking by on their phones, all kind of telling each other. It's like one of these sensational moments of, wait a minute here, the tide has this literally turned. And then you say that then we go up to Celtic Park, and then it's like, oh shit, can we just make this easy for ourselves? You know what I mean? It was a big, long afternoon. But that goal getting in the middle, the guy behind me left, I had to say to him the other night, I couldn't believe you missed that goal. Because somebody did mention, I know we'll come on to Wednesday, but somebody did mention the feeling when that goal, and the celebration of that goal last Saturday was up there with every celebration on Wednesday night. I mean, like, people were ecstatic.
What's the importance of it? It was vital. It was absolutely vital. And it set a Wednesday up, we're going to come, but it set Wednesday up perfectly.
Right, apologies, I'll come to you. Monty, I'll come to you in a second, but apologies, but Ralph's cam has just frozen. So I don't know if he's in a ditch or is this the Wi-Fi?
I can hear you. It's just Warrington, because Warrington's a couple hundred years behind the rest of the country and it doesn't have internet.
That's fine. Okay, you're safe. I'll come back to you in a second, Ralph, but over to you, Monty. Apologies.
No, I was just going to say that, Scottish winters are a certain thing, they're cold and dark and dreary, and it's good that you kind of get into the spirit of things between Hector's missus jumping into the bath for you and your mates sort of cranking on each other's horns the whole way up to the game.
Well, you do what you can. Whatever gets you through.
You do what you can to stay warm. It's so fair enough.
Adaptability, mate.
Yeah.
But I was watching. I was actually out for a bit of a walk when the Staggies scored.
Were you heading down towards the cafe by any chance?
I was heading down towards a lovely little place actually, just down in Portugal. Went down for a beer, and I got back to the gaff in time to watch the game. And I had a similar reaction to Hector when the goal went in, but I was watching it going, oh fuck, no. And you just have this sense, and we've talked about it on a few podcasts, there's a sense of something special happening, and we're not going to get too carried away, as Ange said today. We're only a point ahead, and it's fair. But every data point, if you look at how we are at the minute, points to this upward trajectory. We're just on the way up again. And if you look at the Hearts game of two halves, completely, cliche, but we were so good. And then we soaked up so much in the second half and actually closed that game out very well. And if you look at then how we squeezed, it was reminiscent. I remember being at Celtic Park for a game against Hibs, and Mialby scored in like the 93rd minute under O'Neill. And it felt like that again. It just, well, you didn't know, you just had this sense that we're getting to a point where we've got this really incredible thing going on in terms of our football and entertainment, but also our character, to borrow Brendan's word, and our mentality. It's just phenomenal. Yeah. As he had set us up for, that's pressure, that's mental pressure, and Hart said it after the game. He said, if we didn't get that, if Liel doesn't score that goal, this is a different conversation. Because then we're bottlers and we're chokers. But fuck, whatever he's doing in the background to get a mentality into that, and he still hasn't it yet. It's just such an exciting.
Yeah, well,
incredible.
I'll just speak on behalf of the listeners. I'm sure a lot of those listeners thought like me. You were going to say, I remember being in Celtic Park and we were going to a soccer aid memory again there, Hector. I was just waiting for that. When I ran up the park and scored.
I had the violin ready.
Right, but no, so I'm going to come to Ralph, because like Monty alluded to it, Ralph, something very special. I've written here, I have written here, 10 men won the league, shudders. As Ralph just dropped. That's what I'll come to you then, Hector, because my next point is for Monty, but I'll come to you. Are we feeling about it, that whole 10? I know we were probably too. We remember 10 men won the league. Hold on, Ralph may be coming back. Ralph, are you back on?
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's all right. Somebody just tried to ring me and it knocked it off.
Right, I know, I'm just saying it's got a wee feeling
Yeah,
that 10 men won the league touch.
Yeah, to pick up on what Monty said there is, Billy McNeil said there was a kind of fairy tale thing about this club. And I think it was a few years back, Strachan said something about just taking a point off them every month on the way back through to win the league. But it kind of happened a wee bit quicker than maybe we would have hoped. And now we're at the top. But without getting carried away, the final of the Europa Conference League is in Tirana this year, in Albania. And your man met the president. Again, it's just got that kind of written about it.
Yeah.
Do you know, because I really have to say that the way we're playing, on the one hand, we're starting games strong, we're putting a marker down, and we're finishing games strong as well.
Can I
there's
just
a couple of late winners. But I'm just saying, there's a fairy tale thing. And
I was just going to say, see, in terms of the 10 men and stuff like that, just an important point to bring up, right, is we've had two, maybe more than two, but two that spring to mind, very late winners. Ross County, 96, 97 minute, then Saturday. And that's, late winners are torture for the heart, right? But they're vital. They're seismic in terms of game changing when it comes to winning leagues and character of a team and never stop, as Ange said. But that was always Celtic. Celtic never stopped. We're always renowned for scoring late winners. But it wasn't just late winners. It was late winners with 10 men. That's additional character, right? To really do that, because it was Christmas time, we went, I think, 8 points behind them, right? At that point, potentially, if memory serves me right, or maybe it was 6, then we drew with St Mirren just after Christmas. One of the two, I can't remember. But then, if we don't get the win on Saturday, you're right. It's the accusations of being chokers and bottle merchants, and a lot of that stands, by the way. That's an absolute fact. Psychology is massive in any sport. So I would just bear that in mind. It wasn't just 2 late winners, it was 2 late winners with 10 men. That's phenomenal. That really is.
Yeah, and you also but you've got the opposite of that, of them losing a goal with 11 men. And that way, so there's no excuse, there's nowhere to hide. That way, as in, you look about each other going, you can't even blame the referee, or that way. So that's a nice wee point. Right, we've already spent 15 minutes. We're only on Saturday.
I was going to say, when you move to Wednesday, when you speak of psychology, the disco lights get criticised, and it's a wee bit showbiz and all that kind of thing. But if you watch, just as the teams come out, Celtic players run in the middle of the park, they're jumping about, they're enthusiastic. The opposition come out and their heads were down. They were intimidated.
Let's come to that. Monty, you take your energy, because I want to come to you for this next point. So that's Saturday, right? We all get a wee rest on Sunday, but our nerves are already. As soon as that game's finished, I say I go to the game with Andy, 69 years of age. He's skipping down the Celtic way and down to Kilmarnock station because of that late winner. Every Celtic fan's over the moon. Suddenly it's back. It's in their own hands to go top of the league, right? Rangers have let a goal in the last kick of the ball. Utter shambles. They've lost 6 points, etc. It's been terrible. They've lost 4 points, I think, up to that point. It's been a shambles, Monty. You are a global businessman of some acumen, right? How impressed were you by the DUP PR department of Ibrox to go out and sign Aaron Ramsey on the Monday to take all the headlines away from their shambolic performance?
It genuinely masterstroke on so many levels, but it's the notion of controlling the message to hide the substance of what goes on behind it, and it happens loads, but they're masters at it. Ramsey is still, but no one looked at the stats. No one looked at Ramsey's last year. Everyone just thought Aaron Ramsey, Juventus, 400 grand a week. The nonsense of that. No one looked at how much he'd played football. No one looked at where his career's actually at, how effective he's been for Juve. And he was a cracking player 3 years ago, but for the last 2 years, he's been injury prone and he hasn't kicked a ball since October. His injuries are all muscle injuries, calf tears, calf strains, hamstrings. And he's coming into this cold environment we talked about at the start. He's coming into an environment where there's massive pressure on him, which he'll probably thrive on because he was a top player in his late 20s. But they're now going to look at him as the Messiah. He's not fit. He said it himself. He wasn't even anywhere near the squad. He actually said in his interview, over the next couple of weeks, they're going to build up some work into him. So this wasn't the signing. I don't think this wasn't a signing of a player to come into a system to try and make a difference in the last or right now, maybe in the last month or 6 weeks of the season. This is a pure PR exercise, and it genuinely does. It's a fucking masterstroke, but it suggests it's a very expensive one. They'll have paid a loan fee for him. And if he is on whatever, someone said his actual wage is somewhere between 170 and 200 grand a week. The rest of the money was his signing on fee.
Yeah, it's his package, isn't it?
It's package. They're probably paying 20 or 30 grand a week for him. When they're done with Ramsey at the end of the summer, let's say it's a 5 million punt to win the league, he'll be gone no matter what. We'll have bought on 4-year contracts O'Reilly, Ali, Iriguchi, and Maeda for slightly more. And when you look at the two balanced, it's a great PR stunt, but Jesus.
So that's why, as I said, I just wanted to cover that with you. We're not going to worry about Rangers too much, but that you alluded to something that's very interesting. I know, like that. We'll come on to it, but I thought the Scott Arfield football the other night where Hart collects it, where it's basically a 50-50, and Arfield doesn't get to it, compared to our signings are all 21 to 24-year-old guys, still to hit their prime, can run all day, can run really fast. That's the kind of, we're at opposite ends of the football spectrum, know that way. And Arfield's already talking about his contract extension, and I'm kind of going, please sign. Just keep signing these older guys. But we'll come on to Wednesday. Let's stick to, we're on to Tuesday now. So that was Monday. So we let Rangers grab all the headlines. We already knew Celtic had been impressed by getting all the work done. Hector, we've come on to Tuesday. Yep. You and I are the same age. We've had the same kind of football background. We've come through the joys of St Mary's, etc. Travelling through Europe with Celtic. We've done it all. Did you ever think you would be that interested in a Saudi Arabia versus Japan World Cup qualifier as you were on Tuesday?
It's amazing, isn't it, how the world's just changed, isn't it? It's crazy. Obviously, the pressure it built in a good way since the weekend results, right? It went in our favour. Late goals, it made a massive swing. And what could have been, you think about it, right? It ended up 2, but it could have went the other way, right? It could have been what, 6 ahead. So it was massive. So the pressure was on because it looked like Callum McGregor was out. Obviously, that bad one he took away to Alloa. Rogic was definitely out because he was going to play. And they were playing later that day, weren't they? They were playing later that day. So all the thing was, look, if McGregor's probably out as well, we're missing Kyogo, missing a few others. Can we get Maeda back? Can we get him back? Because we really need him. And everyone's thinking, and Ange should say, look, if the guy plays, there's probably no chance that you can do it. But you're right, it got to half an hour to go. Was it 2-0 to Japan? And he still wasn't on, right? And we're all going, oh yes. We're all going, right, that wee fucker better not bring him on. And
what
happens, right? And there's people looking at different airports in Japan and the connecting flights to Dubai and all that. That's how mental the thing is, right? And well, it's funny when you think about it. But then, lo and behold, was it 20 minutes to go?
Yeah,
And
25
they
minutes.
brought back. It was like this big bubble had just been burst, hadn't it? Boof.
Yeah, we're Twitter pal,
Oh.
man. I'm sorry to upset Celtic fans,
I know.
but Maeda is ready to come on and all that. And then so I tried my best to explain to him that when a Glaswegian stroke Celtic fan writes, "Get to fuck" or "fuck right off" on Twitter, it actually means, "Oh God, you're oh God, no." I mean,
Aye.
because we're bringing. But then Maeda came on. Thankfully, he never got injured. But by all accounts, he had, like, as we talked before, Maeda's literally the reserve for Kyogo, who is a reserve for their main strikers. So he only got in because Kyogo was injured. But apparently in these 2 games he's done very well. I did see one clip where he done a beautiful spin and turn and set up. It was a kind of Gary Hooper-esque, like playing the ball out wide to the winger who was advancing overlapping. So, but apparently he's done very well, as in making the manager, because they should qualify for World Cup now after that win. Australia need to have 3 massive results, which is unlikely. But he's done apparently very well for his case of getting to the World Cup. So fair play to him. But yeah, so suddenly we're like, as you say, to see people posting flight paths and flight number SA954 is currently over Dubai. You know what I mean? And people are getting all excited. And then people are posting the inside of an airliner, like to show what a wee bed and that looked like, to show how comfortable it would be. But as you mentioned there, so Monty, as Hector mentioned there, the big question at that point then became the whisper that Callum McGregor may be in training, and then Ange confirmed Callum McGregor in training. And knowing Callum McGregor, as we know Callum McGregor, so that wasn't really a surprise. But we didn't. Monty? Were you thinking this is basically a wee diversion tactic at that point? It's not really going to happen.
No, I think once they had confirmed he trained, if he's able to train, then he's able to play. And that's probably driven as much by the player himself as the medical team. So the medical team are saying, we put a protective mask on you. You know, if you get slapped on it, it's going to protect you, but it's going to hurt.
And plus, as you said, because it wasn't a muscle injury, right? Because it wasn't a muscle injury, so it didn't. It was bone, facial bone. So
he said it. I think he said it yesterday. He's got 2 fractures in his cheekbone, which are just going to take time to heal. Yeah. So if that's not giving him pain as he's running, or the pain can be managed, you know what it's like if you've got even a wee slight fracture in your hand or anywhere, movement, any jolting movement can be sore. So you can imagine the feet pounding on the ground. That's going to have some sort of effect on it.
Yeah, but even especially that his range of vision, so to speak, his head's constantly moving. I mean, he's constantly looking around, turning, looking up, etc. I mean,
but you see the other side of it too, Desi. I totally agree. The other side of it is leadership, culture, character, all those things that Postecoglou obviously drives into that squad. And McGregor was actually quite emotional. I don't know if you noticed it. He said, like, you know, there was 60,000 in there. Most of them want to run out and play. So
every fan would have played with a broken face. Why am I any different?
Why am I any different? And you're thinking, look, that's such a huge statement. And you don't, again, you're tempering all this, because I noticed him straight after the final whistle, him and Hart, and you could see him telling, let's calm this down. No one's won yet. But him and Hart know no one's won yet, because they've been there and done it. If you look through the rest of that squad, Hart, Bitton, McGregor, to a lesser extent Taylor, Ralston was kind of on the edges.
Forrest
obviously has a huge influence, yes.
Aye. There's no many, but you're right, there's no many.
But there's not many. So, yes, well done, 3 points, totally dominant, blew him off the pitch, calm the fuck down. And we have a really, really hard game on Sunday.
Desi, we've not came at the game yet, and he's finished it.
We're still on Tuesday, don't worry.
Still on Tuesday.
I'm coming to Ralph because at this point, right, everybody is like on tenterhooks. Because this is Tuesday, we're all thinking about Wednesday. Like, Ralph, can you hear me?
Yeah,
that's fine. No, because by this point in the week, everybody's thinking, will Ralph manage 3 diaries in a row, Shocker?
I thought I've done all right this week.
Exactly. But I was actually going to lead with that.
A remarkable level of consistency.
Yeah. I was actually going to lead with that. The fact you've managed a diary every day of the week, people will be in awe of you, wondering if you've been sacked.
I think it's just simply because you've got more to actually say. I don't mean that with blowing a trumpet or whatever. These days on the interweb, there's articles come out from various places every time something happens. and you think sometimes you just don't want to repeat it. We've not got the access to the rumours that we used to have, mainly because I think it's all been shut down. Nobody's moaning on the side anymore. Everybody's happy with everything at the ranch. Why would they want to talk to idiots like me?
Yeah.
Why would anybody want to talk to idiots like me?
I think, like we've mentioned that a few times on this podcast, and I've seen a few kind of post that game mentions of something similar. But we've mentioned a few times that even if Celtic, I know we're leading the league at the moment, but even when we weren't leading the league, even when we were a few points off the lead, we did still say that we've all got onto this process. We've all got into this long-term process. We'll all be happy for this to keep going. And if we don't win the league this year, we're still confident for next year, and we're fully behind Ange. And I think that's a big burden off everybody's shoulders. Like we're all nervous, but it's a nervous anxiety in a good way, as in I can't believe this team's got this far already. If you know what I mean.
What have we consider us now? We don't. It's great having we've got different. We agree on most things, but other things obviously we clearly don't. But one thing I think we've consistently said way back for August, if we could get about 6 points with them for the winter break, right, we'd give ourselves a strong chance, right? Because we'd reinforce our team, and we'd be building, reinforcements would come in, and then after the winter break, you'd hit the ground running. And it's exactly as what was said would happen. It has happened. Now, as you're right, nothing's guaranteed. But what is guaranteed, I think, is that we'll have a level of consistency to the end of the season. This is if we won't drop points, of course we will. But it's whether they can keep up that level of consistency to the end of the season. So everything we've said is mapped out so far, and let's just keep it going.
Yeah.
Sorry, Desi, if I can just come in on that point.
Sure.
Postecoglou mentioned it today. He has always set up his teams to get stronger to the tail end of the season, and the reason he did that was when he started his coaching journey in Australia. You play to win the grand final at the end of the year. So his physical training, tactical training, building momentum, etc., all the things that you would do as a professional coach are actually geared towards us getting stronger in March and April and May. And we traditionally weren't that. In Lennon's teams always kind of peaked around Easter, and then it was fucking high wire after that, but we just had enough to get over the line. Rodgers tried to get us up their plateau and maintain it, but we did also tail off with Rodgers towards the end. What Postecoglou's saying is this is not the way he does things. His is geared for exactly this upward trajectory that you need at the end. So I think you're spot on, Hector. Our analysis going back to the start, just be in touching distance, because we know as a club we can strengthen, bring in the players that the manager wants. It's still only his second window. He's another one coming in the summer to get his actual squad together. But it all looks lined for us now. Now, there's 1,000 things can go wrong, including honest mistakes. There's 1,000 things can happen to us between now and then. We could drop points on Sunday and we're all in the pits at again. But to Desi's point, the trajectory is only one way at the minute, and it's just so exciting to be part of it. Fucking great.
Yeah, we'll like we're kind of hitting Wednesday, but I had posted a tweet the other day, which I think also kind of encapsulates where we are and where we might be going. And it was just a fake conversation of Ange, do you want to play O'Reilly or Rogic? And do you want to start Kyogo or Maeda? And his reply is this: it doesn't matter, mate. It doesn't matter, because the system will take care of itself. But we'll come to that because we get to Wednesday, right, Hector? We get to Wednesday, the day of the game. I just posted a tweet of Bill Murray waking up on Groundhog Day with that sudden bang, because everybody seemed to be full of nervous anxiety. I'm not saying nervous anxiety of let's get this game. Let's get this game started. People are posting tweets about looking at watches and clock watching, etc. This pure watching the clock run down so we can get to Parkhead. Have you felt like that? When was the last time you remember feeling like that?
It would have been a European game, maybe going back, possibly to Rodgers' time, but probably a Champions League game, I'd have thought, right? But just to put a bit of context from my perspective around about that, a couple of guys are kind of up with down south. And, you go in the game and I'm going to the game, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, everyone's kind of hyper. Yeah, absolutely hyper for it. But the big thing is we hadn't played them, irrespective of whatever you want to call them, right? Rangers are the Rangers. We hadn't played, the team for Govan at home with supporters for, is it over 2 years?
Oh, 2 years. Yeah.
Over 2 years. So not having played them for 2 years at Celtic Park, and the momentum of going into it with Celtic on the up, them having dropped points, the chance for us to go top of the league, it was just raising the bar higher and higher and higher, right? And I think that's why it was such a frenetic, energetic, hyperactive day for people everywhere. For those of us lucky enough to live round about Glasgow, could get to the game. But for folk no doubt living in America or Australia, get up at God knows what time or you guys in Ireland or down south, or whatever, whatever means to try and watch the game. It's a nervous energy, which is great. It can be terrible if it goes against your mind after the match, but leading up to it, it's phenomenal. And just one thing, just before we come to the game. So me and my two boys, we drove down to the game. Just leading up to the game, Des, just finishing a wee bit. We drove down. We tend to park is for those who know Celtic Park. It's up by the old bus depot at Tollcross. It's not far from there we park, right? Maybe about another 5 minute walk for there. But the point was, get the car, lock the car door, and from there, the noise we could hear for Celtic Park or down towards Celtic Park was like nothing I've heard before, which was a bit stuck in my head because we were there a good hour before kick-off. And usually you'll get, bits and bobs of people. The noise bellowing out from down towards Celtic Park with the side streets, you folk, the young team having a bevy and everything. It was a crescendo of noise. And it was like Gingy, the Hersley back in it were actually standing up as we just parked the car, walking towards this cauldron of noise. And I thought, fuck me. This is going to be something else in here tonight, right?
No, that's what I was going to say, because even like on the day, you were seeing tweets from pubs. I think the Squirrel and the Barras, that was shut from 3 o'clock. Please don't try and get in. We're sold out. The Brazen Head was like 1:30. Like people were. And Ralph, did you come up from down south for it?
I didn't know. They had a couple other things to do, but a few of them did, and they were saying the same thing. They couldn't get into pubs, and the comparison with a European game is astonishing because that's what they were saying as well.
And Monty, which part of the globe were you in at that point? Were you in the hospitality and just not telling us? I saw Peter Lawwell was at the game.
Was he at the game, was he?
Yeah, he was sitting just in front of Kenny Dalglish and Paul Dalglish. I seen that. And just along from our friend Brian Wilson, Hector.
No, I had managed to get back to Ireland just in time for the game. So it was nice to be back just in front of the screen with a nice glass of wine and just chilling because I've been on it for a couple of weeks, so it was nice to be back.
Right, okay. Right,
can I just add a little thing to that?
Sure.
That sense of expectation for the game, and I can only imagine. I'm quite jealous that it wasn't there. That sort of atmosphere. It's a weird one, and my younger brother is also obviously a huge Celtic fan, and a few mates of ours. We were just texting WhatsApp messages and whatnot, and I've never felt not confident. I've never felt as calm, even ignoring that this is the second version of them, as Hector's alluded to. I've never felt as calm going into a game against them, and I know we talked about it on the podcast before the game. Just everything that you looked at, are we going to be all right? There's nothing pointed to us losing that game. Nothing. No matter how you looked at it, tactically, players, other than the man in the middle. So that is a very, very interesting thing. And when we talk about the game in a little bit more detail about it, but my point is, I actually sat down looking forward to the game. And I'm one of those people from that school of thought that would quite happily have never played that Shire after they were liquidated. Happily never played them again. So the same sense of anticipation and excitement, but it was married with an incredible calm. I think we're going to be absolutely fine here. And fuck me, what a 45 minutes. So, sorry,
right.
I just...
No. I think
it's the same.
You managed to sum that up, helpfully sum that up perfectly, but as in, it was expectation rather than trepidation. I mean, so that's in anticipation, etc. I don't want to start rapping for you now, but yeah, right. But that also gives us. So we've got two guys who were at the game and two guys who weren't. I don't mean that, but it's just to get an idea of what it was like, because Hector, inside that stadium, the atmosphere inside that stadium was truly. It's been a long time. Even I know we had that great run of 9 trophies and that, but familiarity beats contempt and all that, whatever. And you did have a few. We were a wee bit in the corporate Celtic cycle, whereby the DJ would just play whatever, whenever. And I'm only talking when we're winning, but that whole thing, it was a wee bit stage managed. But the other night, as I tweeted, fair play to Celtic DJ, and that, as Ralph alluded to earlier on, the lights, etc. That whole mood, the mood that was created, this amplified everything that was, you say, from around the ground to walking into the ground. Then it became a cauldron, and it was just unbelievable, wasn't it?
The thing I just said when leading up to the match is we hadn't played Rangers or the Rangers, what you call them, at home for 2 years with fans. So you had that, the chance to go top of the league. But the one thing I would add to that was unique. It was the first time ever. It was 60,000 Celtic fans against them. That's never happened before. And that had I tell you right now, that had a massive. In my opinion, it did, because usually you get a corner of the ground that's them in their bio. It was just 60,000 fans of positivity just behind their team. And I don't care who you are. When you've got that energy filling around the ground and cheering on, and as you said there, making such a raucous noise. And then I'm just the section above the Green Brigade, and they've got the red flares, and the noise was getting louder and louder and louder. And the team come out, and the green lights were on, and they're doing the huddle, and the stadium's black, and the green lights, and the crowd's going mental. I'm convinced they shat it at that point. They absolutely shat their pants from the minute they walked out the tunnel, standing there, the green light on the team, the stadium in darkness, the fans go mental, and some of the guys are like, "What the fuck's going on here? What the fuck?" Right? Well, and I'm convinced we won it from then until the first 10 minutes when we blew them away.
Yeah. So I'm across from you. I'm across in the main stand having my prawn sandwiches. But as you say, so when the great so it was a perfect choreography of how to ramp up pressure. As you say, from them arriving at the stadium and it's only Celtic fans there. They're not even got a mediocre. They're not even got a sense of any welcome. There's no Rangers fans even on the way into the stadium, etc. And then they get into the stadium, and then it goes into preparing to come out, the Singe thing sitting there. But then you've got the Green, as you say, below you, the Green Brigade row, that big banner, send them back to hell. And I think that also reinforced everybody's battle cry, that kind of spirit. Let's get into these bags. And then suddenly the lights went off, the flares go up, the smoke's covering everything. But the play, and then as soon as the lights known to the crowd, it's probably the greatest huddle there's ever been. Let's be honest, because everybody's voices get louder, amplified. Everybody's hearts get swollen. So suddenly it was a case of right, we're all in this together, like Monty. So what was it like?
So
I know it sounds stupid to watch.
Can I just ask one more thing? Sorry, Monty. Just one thing you think you had, and what they did, the choreography, and what the guys at the ground did, put the music on really well, is You'll Never Walk Alone.
Aye, well,
sometimes they play that with 10 minutes before kick-off.
Somebody did ask for that on Twitter.
Aye, but they put it on as the teams were out.
Yeah.
And actually, it ended. Now Celtic fans do that little extra line at the end compared to Liverpool and other teams. The game had actually started for about 5-6 seconds before it finished. That was fantastic. Yeah. Imagine Joe Hart and these guys seeing that. The heart must have been bulging out your chest. Yep. You know what I mean? So that was, there we have hat off to the people who did that. More of the same, please.
Yeah, exactly. So Monty, yeah. So again, how was the coverage? And again, I hope it doesn't sound too stupid, but it's just did it come over on the TV? Are we watching? Was it Celtic TV or Sky, or what did you watch it on?
It did come across. It genuinely did. The coverage on Sky had we talked about the DUP masterstroke. That became a pre-match topic of conversation because that's what they did, and that's fine. But you could hear outside of the commentary box just a noise. It was constant noise. And you knew there was something building there. The light show and that timing and that sort of choreography that Hector just talked about really, really added to it. I think as a spectacle, if you were watching that as a non-Celtic fan or not interested in the games as a neutral, it would have been quite the advert for Scottish football. But it reminded me, the noise and the focus and the way the players started. O'Neill's 6-2 game, that's all I kept thinking about in the first 15, 20 minutes, going, they're fucking destroying these things. And I remember a comment, it was was it Newman maybe, said that they knew they were beat in the tunnel before they even went out, because the focus on every player that O'Neill had in that starting 11, he said that there was no normally a bit of banter looking at each other. These guys were just like fucking robots. So the atmosphere, the sort of whole pageantry of it, you could argue, and they were trying to argue the toss, it needs away fans and all that. It didn't. And all I could think of after the first half was, this is setting it up beautifully for Ibrox, because the contrast in those two grounds it's impossible to create a different contrast in what was a footballing fiesta and what's going to be this fucking cauldron of fucking ugly, bigoted hate. And I think our players now have a calm and a focus that'll rise above all that. I wouldn't, and again, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. I wouldn't put it past us to do that to them again on their patch. And they'll go fucking boogle. It'll destroy them again. But everything about it, Desi, it just felt, this is the start of something pretty special.
You're not alone, because I also thought of that. Also the fact that next time we play them at Ibrox, it's likely to be 12 o'clock on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yep. They don't have I know like, the amount of slagging we've gave disco lights, etc. But they more than paid their way. God bless Peter Lawwell and his vision. That's all we can say. That's what we'll put that victory down to, Peter Lawwell's vision. But you just reminded me of something. Ralph, have you managed to see the coverage of the teams before they came out, and you see Rio Hatate standing there with his arms folded, clearly bored, waiting to get on the pitch? None of that nerves nonsense. Did you hear me?
No, it was, you could see the enthusiasm. Everybody ran straight onto the pitch after the W line-up and the announcements, etc. But their players stayed where they were. It's like we wanted to get on with it. We're soaking up the atmosphere. We're thriving on it. Whereas they were kind of, I wish this was all over already. In fact, there's one wee bit, if you watch your camera, the boy from Manchester United, somebody, it's all like, don't worry. And it was just, like somebody says, they were beaten from the minute the game started, if not before.
Yeah, and it's funny you see, because you're alluding to it, because I went back and listened to a few of the, I think it was like the Tuesday Clyde Super Scoreboard, etc. And of course, Hugh Evans and Alex Ray both state there's no way that Callum McGregor will play in that game. Not right. And again, you have to worry about this Celtic team, because none of them know the pressure of playing in such a game. And then when I don't know if everyone listening saw the picture, but Rio Hatate is standing in the tunnel, bored out his face, with his arms folded, just looking about while all the Rangers players are facing down the tunnel, anxiety ridden, and he's obviously just waiting to get on a football pitch and do his thing. This is what he does, and of course that is what he did. So Hector is, and Monty, I did have the 6-2 game in mind the other day regards the actual immediate impact of Celtic just attacking. So that even, let's go on the first 6 minutes, Hector, was just a constant assault, wasn't it? And did you have any worries at any point of, we're not going to have this again, no taking my chances? I know I'm not being negative, I'm just asking, did at any point then suddenly bang, goal, and it was like, this is here for the taking?
Well, see if it's 1-0 and it should be 4-0, right? And you're getting towards half time. You're obviously thinking, come on, at least the two ahead by now. And actually, a couple of the guys on about us, we're saying that. We meant it to be at least 2-3 up here. And thankfully, we get 2 quick goals before half time. But there's always that, because you get to half time 1-0, you'd be given a doing, right?
Yeah.
There's a fair chance they could equalise the second half. Although I thought Celtic had a gear or two to lift the second half. We'll come to that. But we flew off the gates. We just flew at them. I think the crowd energy, it was just go, went for the jugular straight away. We spoke last week about predictions and that. My only concern was the officials, was the referee, right? And the first goal we scored, I'm in a really good position. It's over my side, and I'm looking down at it for the top tier. Really good view. It was a goal. But what happens within Celtic Park? There's a couple of big screens, and they'll very quickly show the replays. Obviously, fans will celebrate. But I looked up, and it showed you two Rangers players colliding with each other.
Yeah, Aribo punches him a cracker.
But a lot of people, as you know, in the stadium wouldn't have seen that because they're too busy, celebrating. Afternoon says, listen, don't worry, because that's two Rangers players that are running at each other. So there's nothing there. You've seen Barisic, McGregor, Rangers players into Madden's ear. I thought, wait a minute, because see when a team scores a goal, the assistant referee at the corner side, what do they do when they score a goal? They had their flag down and sprint towards the halfway line. That's what that assistant referee did when Hatate scored the first goal. So then suddenly, that assistant referee's been hauled all the way back down towards the corner flag by Bobby Madden. What the fuck was Madden going to say to the guy other than, please give me a reason to disallow this?
Give me a reason. Did I miss something? Yeah.
Because Madden, by the way, usually if the ball was recycled after the corner, say it was recycled back to the halfway line, he'd probably have stopped it. If the ball going for a throw-in, he'd have stopped it. But the ball had been headed to the edge of the area where Hatate shot. So forget that they're crying, that's just them. And even their biggest fans that acknowledge we gave them a pumping. But it's the Bobby Madden thing that's still sticking in my craw. Because if that game was at Ibrox, he'd have disallowed that goal. Yeah. He was looking for any reason possible. And I still don't know why he's pulled back that assistant referee who didn't see an infringement and sprinted back to the halfway line. So somebody's got to ask that question. What was he asking there? So
are you wanting a meeting at Mount Florida? You want a meeting?
I was just like somebody to ask the question because my head's gone. Why there's a conversation?
It's the sequencing of it, Hector, where we talk about players getting into the referee's ear. After the goal's given, you can see Tavernier and Goldson and one or two others pointing to whoever it was got wiped out by his own.
Yes, Bassett.
And they're pointing like going, why the fuck, that's a head knock, you should have stopped it. And there's this sort of moment of doubt in Madden's mind, thinking, fuck, did somebody clean him out? Because if I missed somebody cleaning him out and it's a Celtic player, then that's a foul and I've missed it, but my linesman will bail me out. But the linesman's obviously told him, that's just two of their guys collided. It wasn't a head knock.
That's the only thing I can think it would be. And it's quite possible that Tavernier and that thought it was maybe a Celtic player that did clean him out.
Somebody wiped him out.
But the linesman sprinted to the halfway line.
But that's the point, Hector. The linesman has already said, there's nothing wrong here. That's a goal. The referee has seen it and given the goal. That's it. Game over. Whether the player's bent in his ear or not. And you're absolutely right, Hector. That's back to the effect, the home effect. And at the end of the day, Madden's just human. You can argue he's a very bad ref as well. That pressure effect, if that's at Ibrox and the linesman gives him any iota of doubt, he'll rule that out. Guaranteed. Where the opposite psychology applies, there's 60,000 people going boogaloo. He can't give me a valid reason that I can stand over. And we're not into another. Who was the ref that was told to fucking lie that ended up getting sacked? Remember one of the ones with Lennon when Lennon was the manager?
Yeah, Tannadice, wasn't it?
Tannadice, wasn't it?
Oh, I forget. Stuart Dougal?
Basically told him to make something up after the game and then got caught out. Yeah. So we're in a scenario that crowd effect. And let's face it, the guy was wiped out, but it wasn't a head injury. No. It happens all the time. The linesman's done his job. You could argue the counter to that and say Madden did his job by validating, but the linesman had already given it. Madden right to call him back. So whatever that was, I'd love someone just to.
That's my only thing is why he called him back when the linesman's given the goal.
Dougie McDonald is the referee.
Dougie, that's it.
See, the other thing that's kind of interesting and maybe important to notice is, although this guy's been wiped out, whoever it was, nobody's running over to see how he is. They're all too interested in shouting at the referee, as opposed to looking after what could be an injured or seriously injured teammate. So it's all nonsense. It's just an excuse.
Get your priorities right, Ralph.
You're bang on the money, Ralph, and we'll get on to the second and third goal because there's a couple of observations that I'm sure we'll pick up on. And actually, they behaved after the second and third goal.
And I seen Van Bronckhorst.
This is what I'm going to say. So sorry, Hector. So Ralph, I've just wrote here, Tora, Tora, Tora. The way we just went into them for especially the first 35, 40 minutes. I know we scored that third goal, but the ongoing assault was just unbelievable, Ralph. you remember seeing a Celtic team play like that so well?
Not for a long, long time. Not for a long time. We were winning tackles, we were making interceptions, we were just blocking everything that they depend on, which is their fullbacks, their diagonals. They weren't happening. We were stopping them at source. Greg Taylor had a fantastic game. If you look at the amount of tackles he won, the amount of interceptions he made, and Juranovic on the other side, absolutely outstanding. And yet, Callum McGregor chasing everybody down. He came of age as a captain on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
For all the, for his whole thinking that he might be a bit lightweight, he's got big shoes to fill. He filled them.
Yeah, but Hector,
we stopped him from playing.
Hector, you've got a child at school. Surely Callum McGregor should not be shouting "shitebag" at Barisic because he refuses to face him with the ball.
As you know, it's a friendly Glasgow welcome, isn't it? Shitebag. What was apparent early on?
I think we now have a name for the podcast episode.
What was apparent early on? That obviously the TV, the angle's focused on parts of the pitch, but when you're sitting with the view, what was apparent really early was down their left and our right. Juranovic, Abada, and O'Reilly most of the time, although Hatate had the flexibility to go over there. But we had an overload there. And what was happening is Barisic was getting pulled in really central. So the ball was down our left with Jota, etc. And Jota was a million miles off his best, which actually turns out a positive. We'll come to that probably no doubt. You had the two centre-halves pulling over, but Barisic was coming in almost to the halfway of the pitch, right? So we're recycling it back out wide again. He's sprinting 30 metres, 35 metres constantly in and out. And we were doing an overload. We 3v2 there almost the entirety of that first half. And so Ange's system, his way of playing, his way of creating overloads, his way of the two number 8s or two number 10s, what you want to call it, Hatate and Ellie, filling the space with Juranovic tucking in and Abada going wide and tucking in. It just flummoxed them. They couldn't handle it. And the only bad aspect of the first half is why we weren't 5-0 up, maybe 6-0 up, because we deserved it.
Yeah.
We blew them away the first half.
Yeah, we'll come. Right, so I was going to say we'll come to the second goal, but this kind of takes in the second goal also, Monty. When you look at that second goal, and I said to Ange, I go to football where I was like, what a move for the second goal. He went, yeah, it was some shot. I went, no, the move. And he went, what do you mean? I went, it came for, it was 7 touches for Carter Vickers. 1, 2, Carter Vickers, Juranovic, O'Reilly, Abada, Hatate, goal. I mean, like, if you watch it again, it's like Hatate takes 2 touches, and again, he takes the ball with his right foot or his left foot and puts it in with his right foot. His 2 goals come for killing the ball with one foot and shooting with the other. I mean, like that whole Lugo style. But I was going to say, Monty, like that goal, it's a stunning team goal, let alone an individual finish. But it also kind of highlights that most of the concern before the game, or at least most of the media attention, was how good certain individuals may be in the Rangers team, i.e. your Kents, whereby the Celtic team overall is, like the standard overall was like, you're up there looking at 8s, 9s and 10s on Wednesday night overall, the whole team.
I think that there's 2 pieces to the second goal specifically. That the move itself is part of a system that the players are becoming more comfortable with. So it's now on any other opposition coach, and not just single out Van Bronckhorst. You've got to work out how you nullify that. And it's not easy when you've got constant movement and 3-on-1s and a team that's very, very comfortable on the ball and who can move it around. The finish itself, so technique from a fella who's not even fully match fit, you're going, fucking hell.
Yeah, what a lazy bastard, by the way, Hatate must be. He's not even fit yet. He's been here for 21 days.
And you know,
he should be fit by now.
You see the 60 seconds just before that, I think it was either Hatate or O'Reilly, but I think it was Hatate. Hatate got caught ball watching, and Murphy ran into space.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I remember going, oh fuck, there's a gap. And again, something I know I jokingly sent up to our WhatsApp. Yeah, it was a decent half, few things we could work on, but there's a gap there that with a wee bit more mental sharpness and fitness we cover. But my rounder point is, we completely pulled their system apart. And if you look at the reaction to the second goal and the third goal, they're blaming each other. They're pointing to each other, going, you're meant to be there, you're meant to be there. they're starting to fracture. And it's not, I don't think it was just Wednesday night. This has been coming. We talked about when Van Bronckhorst got appointed. There's a new manager coming in. So the old guy had his favourites, and those favourites will no longer be favourites. He's also Dutch, and his team are Dutch. So they're very direct and honest in their feedback. They don't really give a fuck about your feelings. So there's a change in culture. There's a change in system. And they're starting to look confused. The Ross County game was a case in point. And they're trying to hit this diagonal ball. I don't know what the fuck. Armagh hit it fantastically against Dublin on Saturday, by the way, and we beat Dublin at Croke Park. But it's not GAA. They're playing a system. They had 3 years to perfect the system to stop 10 in a row, and they did it. They've now got a guy in trying to implement a new system, not with his players. And he's coming up against a style of football that you need to be fucking top quality to be stopping that system because of the way we're getting better at it. So I think, Desi, there's a whole sum of the parts there. There's a brilliant goal from a Celtic point of view. Tactically, it was just on the money, but bigger psychologically. They have to figure out how to stop that. And I don't think that guy is at a level where they have a system or a set of coaches that they could play against that and nullify it. So, again, upward curve stuff, but fuck me, brilliant goal.
Yeah. Okay, and Ralph, you're currently sitting, I believe, in possibly a transit van. Are you currently impersonating Barisic at the third goal? Because God only knows what he was doing when Abada... And see the sprint, see if you watch that goal again, the sprint from Abada is unbelievable. He must cover about 20 yards in under 2 seconds. It's stunning, the sprint he does to run in. And it looks dead simple, but it's an amazing finish. So, Ralph, did you enjoy the third goal? Hector, did you enjoy the third goal? Because Ralph, he's went to mute. He's pulled off to the services.
Aye, but it was. Of course I did, but it was amateur.
He's still celebrating the second when the third one
Still
came.
celebrating, and that was. You know yourself, 2-0's great, but you get a quick third, and the scenes in the third one, and just Jesus. But it was amateurish from their perspective, right? Imagine having a throw in down towards your corner flag, and there's 2 defenders there against one of our players, Hatate. And Hatate gets ball thrown over his head, lifts his head, beautiful left foot cross, and put it in just outside the 6-yard box. Imagine your team allowing that, right? And it's probably because we just went 2-0 up, the crew were going mental. And they probably couldn't communicate with each other, right? Because trust me, when you're in there and you're telling somebody, you drop 10, I defy any player to know somebody's giving them an instruction to drop 10 or go forward 10. You can't hear, it's bedlam. But what to finish, see the celebrations though, Desi, when the third went in. You talked about the 6-2 game. It was reminiscent when Lambert made it 3-0 after 12 minutes against in the 6-2. The third goal, the place just went. It was, you're 2 rows further down and complete strangers are embracing, and it was magic. But just getting back to the game, a wonderful finish. That wee guy's record's something else, and yet a lot of times you wonder what he offers. He's a phenomenon, right? His goal scoring record is frightening. He's 19, 20, just turned 20. But what I would say about the first half, I thought Juranovic was incredible. Most of the game, in particular the first half, I thought Calmac bullied their defence. Yeah. Absolutely bullied their defence rotten. They didn't fancy it. And what I loved, what he did was, we didn't score, but see the one when they made a mistake, Tavernier made a mistake, and Jota shot, and McGregor saved it. The ball's up in the air, a good, 10, 12 foot. He sprinted to attack that header. And was it Bassey?
Yeah.
Shit himself.
Can he get launched himself.
See the leap is the leap is Ronaldo-esque when you watch it again.
But Des, it's the bravery. See how brave you've got to be, because normally a keeper can come to punch that as well. He was saying, I'm getting that ball. And it's when a player does something like that in your team, right? You go, wait a minute, we're all up for this big still. So I thought he was great in the first half particular. Juranovic was sensational in the first half. And then you're Hatate, my God. And Hatate there was one example in the first half. It might have been 1-0. It was 1-0. They made one of their few breaks. And I think it was Kent. Might have almost gotten towards your 6-yard line. And Hatate sprinted. And for me, that's the difference. We spoke in the podcast before. We've mentioned like Turnbull and Rogic, and they're big assets. But what they lack's that level of energy that guy could do. Yeah. These 50-yard long bursts and sprints to get him. So he possibly stopped a goal.
Yes, so apologies. That also perfectly highlights something Monty alluded to earlier. because our second goal comes through the fact that Kent does not chase back when Carter Vickers plays that through ball.
Yep.
I mean, so Kent should be still running. Kent just stops running after the halfway line as if, oh, well, it's away from me, I don't really care now. He should be running into the space where the triangle's going to end up, but he just totally stops and gives up after 40 yards.
And that guy Diallo, who I didn't realise, he's a £20 million player. United paid 20 million for him.
40 million euros.
How much?
40 million euros, allegedly.
Fucking hell. He did not, and even in the commentary that I could hear, McCoy picked up on it. He doesn't want to track back with Taylor. So either he's been told not to, therefore our system creates those opportunities for us, or he just doesn't fancy it. So if both of them are doing that, that would point to our system being significantly superior to theirs.
But it points
and
to your
their
point,
ability
Monty,
to react.
It actually digs up your point about Van Bronckhorst, though, because Gerrard had mastered that, his system with his coaching staff.
Yeah.
See, Kent and whoever was on the other side, right? They were inverted wingers. So just be clear, the Dutch tend to play a 4-3-3 where Kent and others stretch the game and stay wide, right? But Gerrard didn't do that with his coaching staff. Kent and whoever else it was were actually quite narrow. So they actually stopped those channels. So I know it sounds a wee subtle change, but it's actually an important change for how we play and how they play.
Because if you stop those channels, and this is the beauty of it because of the way we play with inverted fullbacks, now you've nullified that, but what are you doing about the wingers? Because if they then pull their fullbacks all the way up to try and nullify Jota and Abada, what they've done is they've created two huge pockets of space on the other side, and we now have energy with Hattari and O'Reilly to go into those spaces, and someone like Rogic or McGregor behind that to find those spaces. So there's a beautiful thing that'll play out between now and going to Ibrox, because it's not on us. We don't need to change anything at the minute. We have a system that is quite clearly working, that the players have bought into, and is becoming interchangeable with a higher quality of player. Where if you're on the offside of the city, you're thinking, fuck, do I really know what I'm at? And the reaction to your point that they throw in two guys, and our guy gets it, drops it in the box. Barisic must have been playing Wordle or something like that. Fuck knows what he was doing. He wasn't even looking. And the timing, the way that Abada timed his run to come in, sprint, slow down, and then hit the space when he seen where the ball was going. That's fucking so clever.
With the outside of his foot.
With that, it's just, and I know you can get, again, calm it all down. It's one result. It's a result that realistically probably wasn't in doubt if you were analysing this from any angle. But the nature of that first half, and even the second half felt just rope-a-dope. Come on ahead, do what you want. This game's over. Didn't matter. They maybe should have scored one.
We had extra gears there.
The game was well done. The game was well done. Ralph, can you hear me now? Are you back with us?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So were you impressed with Celtic in the second half by giving due respect to our neighbours Motherwell for this weekend? I'm not going on to this, but it's the fact that we took our foot off the gas, reserving our energy for this weekend's game.
Well, maybe it was just game management. We don't need to go out and take 6, 7, 8 off them. It would be nice, but what's the point in running the risk of further injuries or suspensions or somebody getting sent off? Just see the game out. The job's done. That's professional football.
We did tire a bit, right? There's no disputing that. You could see that. And that's not criticism, right? The tempo we played that first 45 minutes was just frightening. I've not seen it like that in terms of energy. We pumped them 6-2, but it was nothing like that. We sort of bullied them the 6-2 game. This was the opposite. This was just an electric level of dynamic play.
That modern football. Like talking about, like they try, like even Monty's alluding there about, okay, you've covered the fullback, but what about the winger? But then also, well, what about that midfielder who became a winger a minute ago? Like, so I'm going to come on to this point of, have you got any wee like individual highlight moments? See when O'Reilly took that ball between his feet and plays it. I mean, I know Rogic, we've seen Rogic do that over the last 8 years or whatever, bro. That guy's only been here a fortnight. And he was getting told how this was the biggest game. He's never seen anything like it, blah, blah, blah. He was in his slippers smoking cigars. I mean, him and Carter Vickers through that game, unbelievable.
And he's another one who's not at the right levels of fitness.
Exactly. Played 3 games in 2. Played 3 games this year, 2022, and 2 of them have been for Celtic. I mean,
you know, and a million and a half. It just shows you whatever, you know, an eye for a player or whatever we've changed in our. If we're letting Postecoglou have complete control over identifying and selecting players, you know, obviously, did he know about, you know, Riley McGree was obviously the one that probably we wanted for that position. He said no, we moved on. And somebody pointed out a brilliant thing. McGree turned Celtic down for more money. O'Reilly turned down more money for Celtic. And that's part of that attitude thing that O'Neill always talked about, that O'Neill always said if there were two players, professional footballers, the margins are tiny, he's slightly more fast or slightly better. And he always said if he had a choice between two, where one was technically better or the other one had the attitude, the correct attitude, he would go with this guy every day of the week. And that's obviously something I think that Postecoglou buys into as well.
Des, there was also two other things just wanted to pick up on. Greg Taylor's performance, more so the second half. That's, my opinion, by a mile, the best I've seen him play. I thought the second half in particular, with your side, he was outstanding. He was first to everything. He was competing for the challenge. But his distribution, touch, passing was. So my point with him is to put on a performance like that now. The guy's got the ability. It's now up to him, right? He's got to show a consistency of putting that type of performance in now, because he's shown he can do it against easily our toughest opponents in the league this season, right? So that's one for him. The other thing I was really quite happy with was so
let's think about Taylor, because I had a few thoughts when you were saying that there, because I've been a big defender of him because I think he suffers from the I'm no Kieran Tierney syndrome, and I know that's a long time since, but you also highlighted earlier about the fact that it was Jota didn't have that good a game. You know what I mean? And then, but you think Taylor did.
Aye.
So I mean, is Taylor getting like Taylor helped set up the third goal? He took a shy, he had the vision to see Hatate, he's pulling up his socks, etc. So is Taylor benefiting from Hatate coming into the side also? No, that's what I'm just trying. I'm just throwing these questions out there.
I don't know, but that's something.
Has he got a more dynamic midfielder to help him out?
I think
rather than your Turnbulls and your Rodgicks. You know what I mean?
I've obviously I don't know the guy, but I can just base it on sometimes you see a guy's body language on the pitch, and I think the guy lacks confidence. Right, as you say, he's come in after Tierney, which was a massive. You can't fill the issues at the level he was at, but confidence, particularly with Celtic, right? You've got to have self-belief, and you can't have one bad pass and doubt yourself, because the fans will eat you alive. And I've always felt with him, that was maybe his biggest downfall. If you can't go over that, you won't last long at Celtic. But his performance against them was a level he reached, which I was really impressed by. And all I would say is, you've shown you can do it now. So you should be walking out, if you start at Fir Park on Sunday, your chest puffed out, believing you're the man. And that's what it's about. If he can now do that the rest of the season, we've got a left back. But there's no excuses now for him. He's got to go and demonstrate. My second thing, was away to Hearts. I felt that we should have made some subs a wee bit earlier against Hearts. I know Hearts was 2-1 at the time, rather than 3-0. So I was happy when Ange, you can see the guys were tired. He brought Miss McCarthy on with 20 minutes to go. It didn't seem much, but it was enough. It was enough just to put a few people in their place, a few challenges, a wee bit of experience, just to hit a couple of them, which I quite enjoyed.
I am so glad. I'm so glad you said that, because that was one of the factors I mentioned walking back for the game. I thought McCarthy was excellent. Only on for, say, 20 minutes if you're lucky or something. But at one point, I think he was fighting with Ryan Jack. That whole, you can go fuck yourself. And that's exactly what we needed at that point. At that time. Either you have it at the start of the game or the end of the game. That's the idea. He was basically saying, the game's done. Away you go and fuck yourself. And that way I'm like, that's exactly what we're needing. This. And he was taking the ball 10 yards, moving it 10 yards, taking it back. That way he was like, he really get involved. And I was kind of going, that might be an art game that kind of spurs him on. And maybe says to Ange, I can maybe bring him on half an hour. That way, rather than the last 15 minutes, make it half an hour. Or maybe rest McGregor, or maybe play McCarthy before Bitton. That kind of idea. I thought he did actually very well.
It was good to see. Ralph, just good to see,
Yeah, definitely. Ralph, did anything stand out for you as a wee personal memory?
I did have a wee chuckle at Kent trying to get past Juranovic and Juranovic laughing at him. And it was Juranovic's upper body strength when you watch him. He muscles people out the way. And again, that's kind of vital in a defender, but it's very kind of rare in a fullback. And he dominated Kent. I think Kent was maybe their great hope that he would do something. He would maybe create a bit of space, create a couple of chances. But he absolutely got nowhere with him. And that time when he ran down the left wing and it went nowhere, and then Juranovic turned around and played the ball off him for a try. And you just think it's little personal battles, like in cricket where they're sledging each other. And we were laughing at Kent. McGregor was calling Barisic a shitebag. It's that kind of stamping your authority on it, not only with the way you're playing football, but your personality. And I thought that was tremendous.
He's deceptively quick, Juranovic. Deceptively quick.
Yeah.
He's a real modern footballer.
He's probably one of the quickest players in our squad. And when you see him, it's over 10 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards. He's fucking lightning. And another
Monty, you're resident there's a player in there somewhere. Do you think he'll fit in at Burnley next year?
Juranovic?
Yeah, or West Ham, or whoever. Of course, he'll be.
Him and Abada will do really well for Palace.
Yeah.
A good right hand side, feeding Edouard and Giakoumakis.
One of the highlights.
I was going to say so Monty, Hector alluded to it earlier, especially, but Giakoumakis, Maeda on the bench. So Maeda on the bench compared to Ramsey in the stands. No, I mean I think that also summed it up. Flying, 9,000 mile, whatever, odd hours. I think it was like 15 hours for Japan or 17 hours to get there, just to be on the bench for, and then he gets. But Giakoumakis, is there a player in there, Monty? Were you impressed with his effort?
I think the last games, Hector alluded to it, he's that type of centre forward that we've missed for a long time. He's a fuck me. Talk about a phrase coming into your head. He's an effective Amido Balde.
Jesus.
No.
I'll have to go on YouTube and look up who you're meaning.
Damned with faint praise, that.
Damned with faint. No, I think we haven't had an effective big physical centre forward like that since.
Say Carlton Cole, I dare you. Say Carlton Cole, I dare you.
No, something in Hartson for that type of mould of player. There's been a few in between, but I guess Jan Vennegar, yeah, maybe. But probably a wee bit more football in Jan Vennegar.
He's a grafter as well, by the way. He's a grafter.
That's what I'm saying, Hector. His work rate belie someone that's a fucking big bruiser. I've really liked him the last two games because he stood up to Hearts centre halves and he stood up to that mob on Wednesday night as well. And even at Dundee United, he worked his balls off. He just didn't get his rewards. And there's margins there too. Again, another one who's not fully fit.
Yeah.
So I think we'll start with him. I don't think Maeda will start on Sunday. I think Giakoumakis will start. He didn't do anything wrong in the game.
He certainly get character. If you consider he missed that penalty against Livingston, and then he was out the team.
Let it go, for fuck's sake, let it go.
Goals. No, I'm very, very impressed with him.
That sounds like praise indeed, Ralph. I was going to say one thing, Daisy. The game was gone and all that. Just a wee thing. I thought the boy Doak coming on.
Yeah, I was going to come to that.
And the run he made. See that run he made? I thought, go on, son. If he scored, if he would put that ball in the net, oh my God. Right?
You wouldn't have made school in the morning.
But I tell you what, that boy's got a bit of pace about him. I don't know if everything else. I wasn't there on Saturdays, but that 5 minutes, the pace to just be direct and run at them. I thought, 16-year-olds.
He's also got that wee bit of attitude too. Like at the end, he's having a wee go at Sakala or whatever. You know what I mean? He's got that wee kind of nip.
But he's also stocky. He's not a wee lightweight kind of.
He's not Mikey Johnson. Yeah, you're correct.
I never said that.
I'm all to say it. Right, okay, no, I just want to have a wee quick roundup, but right, like we loved, right, so, no, actually, sorry, before I come on to what I want to talk about in a second, Hector, we were at the game, I mean, like, we were willing to admit that Jota didn't have a great game, Abada had a great finish, but you can't fault the two guys right in front of the goal, the two ball boys, winding McGregor up. I mean, surely they should be sacked from Celtic Park.
I've still to see the footage of the two ball boys. I've not seen it.
Oh, I swear. excuse me. First half, you've got the two ball boys celebrating the goals, as ball boys do. The exuberant ball boys, always love to see it. They're jumping up in the air, and it's always the same stance. The two arms are in there, and the two legs are bent at the knee, as if they're jumping for joy. But then the second half, right, it's doing at my end at the second half. Every time the ball, obviously McGregor's wanting, like, this is another bugbear, Hector, at the game. Celtic are 3-0 up, and Joe Hart's still trying to play the ball as quickly as possible.
I love it.
And everybody's going, what are you doing, Joe? Calm down.
No.
You don't need to panic, right? But McGregor's obviously trying to restart the game as quickly as possible. Celtic ball boys have all got a ball each. Every time McGregor came out of the ball, they would fling it at each other, so it was running 20 yards away from him.
I've never seen
At
that.
one point, kicked it away. McGregor's screaming. But when Bobby Madden goes to the guy in a high-vis vest in the halfway line, please tell your ball boys to stop acting the cunt, because we need to keep the game going. They're upsetting Alan McGregor. I swear to God, the main stand, we were howling with laughter. Oh, it was brilliant. And then Van Bronckhorst complains about unsportsmanship, because of the ball boys. So good. Right, so that brings me. That was a comic. Apart from the young boy at the start of the second half, running onto the pitch, which was my personal highlight, because it was right in front of me, and it was right in front of my daughter Morgan. So she got to see the very end. So you might not have seen this on TV, Monty and Ralph, but this young boy runs for Hector's end, runs right through the Celtic team, and then comes down towards where Alan McGregor is. So as I'm watching this, obviously Celtic fan come down, I'm shitting myself because there's a lot of drunken guys there the other night, and I'm thinking, I'm worried in case somebody's going to attack McGregor. But then you realise it's just a wee boy, maybe about 11 years of age. He gets up towards McGregor, maybe 10 yards away, and you must have seen the picture where he jumps up in the air, and it's like a still frame with giving McGregor a finger, or the Vicky, and it's just a perfect picture. But then the stewards try and catch him, and he starts doing the pure gallus wee boy, dropping a shooter. The steward ends up on his arse. The whole crowd start clapping the wee guy. He beats six of them, jumps into the crowd, gets through the first fence. The steward tries to grab him. The steward falls through the fence. The wee boy jumps the second fence and gets away. And the whole crowd, that just set us up for an easy, Aussie second half. That was brilliant. That was my personal highlight. I really loved that. But Hector, I want everybody to give me just a quick minute or so on Callum McGregor there, and to play at that level and pull your team through that game. I don't know if you noticed the Hector at the end of the first half where he was telling everybody to get down the tunnel. He was basically saying, get in there, let's regroup, we go again. No, that a pure none of that. Let's just celebrate too early. It was mainly, as Ralph alluded to earlier, but pure leadership. He literally it was a Scott Brown who moment. He is our captain. Unbelievable, I thought.
Well, you know my thoughts on McGregor. I think he's a brilliant player. And it's, again, we mentioned the character word, but it is character, right? You get a couple of broken bones in your face. When was it? Less than 2 weeks ago. I don't know, was it 10 days, 11 days ago? And he's obviously had treatment, but with broken bones, you can't really do much other than time to let it recover. And then he starts back training, desperate to play. Then was it today? I seen his press conference, and I'm sort of paraphrasing here, but he basically said that, listen, the Celtic fans, if they had broken bones in their face, they'd be playing. Yeah. So I'm the captain. I should be playing. And I thought, fuck me. And his eyes were welling up. If you get a chance, if you haven't seen it, you've got to watch this. Just a wee snippet of it. His eyes are welling up about the emotion of it. Well, I'm representing them. And that's like Ange talking. That's actually the way Ange talks about the fans, the supporters, what it means, who they represent. And when Callum McGregor said that, I thought, oh my God, the manager's had such an influence on you now, it's shining through. It's a wonderful piece, and you see him welling up, and that was it. Yeah. That's enough. It was great. Showed the character, brilliant. What a
we will have a wee outro for everyone to listen to, and it hopefully covers the game the other night and also Andy's perspective. But you just remember when you mentioned something earlier on regarding subs, you just remind me part of the speech is Ange talking about how he wanted to succeed in football to please his dad because his dad meant everything to him, etc. That whole kind of heart thing. But when he won the Asian Cup, he says to his dad, we won the cup, and the dad went, yeah, but if you'd have maybe played some subs, made some substitutions earlier and stopped that playing out from the back shit, then it might not have went to extra time. And I went, there's a Hector Bandido for
See,
life.
he knows his shit.
Right, but Monty, I just wanted to say to you, did you not have to sit, you're watching on TV, sit back on TV and just watch it and go, this is incredible. Why the hell is Cal McGregor wearing his face mask for the lap of honour?
I did find it a bit odd, I have to say. But then, you know how these boys work too. They're all about the imagery and the photograph and all that. So it's been a wee bit of the, something the Phantim of the opera. I've seen that doing the rounds. There's all sorts
the Fiend of the opera.
Of the opera, all that sort of stuff. So, I did think it a bit strange, but adrenaline in the moment, whatever it was.
I'm only kidding, but what, honestly, God, what a performance and what a character to show that character. I know everybody in the team showed up Monty, so to speak, but he's leading by example there. It's not even just a leading by example. I know Paul McStay did it for years, being the best player in the pitch and being missed. But remember, that has shown heart and courage and football excellence.
It's also growing in their role. They talk about, taking over from Scott Brown was never going to be easy. Whoever got the gig. McGregor's obviously very, very well thought of by the rest of the squad. Hart is captain material. The Bethlehem Busquets is arguably captain material, although, we had that debate around that little meme that you'd shared, Desi, on the WhatsApp.
Keep it positive.
Yeah. Did you say booking material? Okay, we'll move on. Yeah, anyway.
But I think you're watching McGregor grow as a captain as well, because this squad, obviously, you know how it works, team dynamic. The captain has a voice, but the captain's voice has to be always on message, and he always has to have respect. The minute he loses it, he's fucked. I think these boys are warming more and more to him, and McGregor's growing more into it. And I mean, playing with 2 fractures in your cheekbone, it's not for everybody.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. You said that there, because Matt O'Reilly in his post-match commentary, he was getting asked about basically coming up this game and playing in this league and that game the other night, and he actually did comment. He's like, well, you've got people there like Cal McGregor who have been here for years, seen it, done it, and they're helping bring me through these games. You know what I mean? So you can see the respect is clearly there, Ralph.
I think a lot of it as well. When you see him come out, he's got the mask on, he's playing with an injury that could have, if somebody had elbowed him or knocked him over, it could have made things worse. But it is character, it is that strength, that enthusiasm, and that's infectious on a pitch. That goes through everybody else. They see him doing it, then they've got no excuses. And if you notice at the end of the game, when they're running towards support, he drags Hatate forward to take the plaudits. He's not arrogant enough. He's not big-headed enough to think it's all him. He wants to share the praise, and that's what leaders do.
Yeah. Do you think, Ralph?
They encourage people to follow them rather than make people follow them.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think, Ralph, do you think Chris Boyd would have had the bravery or cowardice to try and elbow McGregor in a mask?
Oh, he wouldn't have caught him, would he? He wouldn't have been anywhere near him.
Exactly. I love that.
When you get that's just bitterness. That's just...
Don't waste your time on a dick like him. Don't waste your time on him.
It's jealousy. Right, okay. So the game finished. And again, Hector, in the stadium, apologies to Monty and Ralph, I don't know if it came over on TV, but the roll with it, again, it was it's, I don't even want to say it's cheesy, it was just like such unexpected joy when that starts up in the team. And you alluded to it, I know you're away up in the gods and you're always there at the end. Most of the time I'm already in the Rolls Royce heading home, but then
half time you go.
The whole stadium was full for the salute to the team.
Which is unusual, wasn't it?
For the standing ovation.
Usually the stadium's kind of half, if you're lucky, half full when the team does they do a wee lap of honour to thank the fans and applaud them, and Ange as well. And the stadium was pretty much packed, which was great. And I think you could see the players and Ange really appreciated that. But it was like a wee retro bit, wasn't it? The roll bit. It was getting back to Martin Milk days when that came on. The place was jumping. It's a great touch, that it is, and you can actually see the players react to it when you hang back and you see them walking over and they see the fans applaud them. And Ange in particular, I think Ange loves every second of it. he genuinely loves. No, it's not just this false platitudes and a wee smile for the camera. I think he genuinely loves every second of that and making the fans happy, and also I think the fans make him happy, and they applaud him and they appreciate it, everything he's done so far.
Yeah, Monty. So we're on. Sorry, on you go, Ralph.
I think part of that is that, he didn't have the easiest of starts, losing 3 out of the first 6 games. But he never get criticised by the support because we could see what he was trying to do. And we were prepared to wait. And I think that makes a big difference when you come to a new country, a new environment, and people are behind you straight away.
He was criticised, Ralph. I wouldn't kind of paint a false picture. And criticism goes with the rule. You've got to win games. I think we've always discussed this.
Yeah.
But I know, but your point stands. I think everyone wanted him to do well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's probably, yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting because I was really I'm obviously we'll all be the same. I made a joke about it today. It's 2 days after the game. We're still all watching the highlights and reading up every possible aspect we can. But one of the aspects I did read was Ange talking about why he has this football philosophy, and Monty, we're very much in the McDonald's vegetarian analogy, and it was because when Ange worked for the Australian Football Association in the youth area, and he was setting up this whole technical philosophy, etc. But then they brought in externals, and he gets sacked.
Aye.
And they said that it was when they realised no one gave a shit that he'd been sacked, that he thought, from now on, I'm going to do my own thing. So if I get sacked, it's on my back. It's because of what I did, and it's not because of any external decision or any influence. And that's why he always maintains this is the Ange way, and this is the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's really interesting.
And it's leadership in its purest form. This is the way that we're all going to do it. I'll treat you fairly.
Mm-hmm.
If you buy into it, there's rewards for you. If you don't like it, I'll help you find the door and help you find another way. Even his commentary about Sorrow, who came on, he talked about Sorrow's deal fell through because they couldn't get a work permit, but he's training hard and he's available, and we're going to do anything we can to help him find a move that suits him. That there's a bravery and a power in that, because he's not falling out with anybody. He's not telling them fucking shit, you're not going to work, or go and train with the kids. Mm-hmm. It's professional, it's a job, and I think best bosses I've ever worked for and the most inspiring people I've ever worked with or for just own their shit. This is the way we're doing it. It's mine. And if you like it, brilliant. If you don't, it's okay too. There's nobody holding you here in chains.
Yeah, it's interesting. Apologies. I like the fact that when O'Reilly was talking to Ian, he went, how is it working under Ange? He went, oh, he's great. It's obviously, he's a great manager, and he's like, and I was been saying to you, went, it doesn't say much.
Nah.
He's like, it doesn't say much at all. He's like, but when he does talk to you, you know exactly what he wants. As in, he's a director and he directs exactly where this is the direction you're going, and this is how I'm going to help you get there. I mean,
there was a great comment today about Rogic coming back, and somebody asked me, "You going to give him a break?" He says, "No, he'll get a break in May, the same as the rest of us. We don't give."
Well, this is okay. So that brings us on to Motherwell, right? So this is right. So this is my only worry, as I normally have after every big game. Ralph, you alluded to it in the diary today, the potential of falling over a molehill at the top after climbing the mountain. So do we just have to make sure we do the business? 14 games, as you alluded to, just win them all.
Yeah, we have to. We're in a position now where it's in our own hands and we can only throw it away. And that's maybe between 20 and 25 games left if we keep winning them all, if you include the 2 cups. Just treat every game one at a time. I know it sounds like a cliche, but one game at a time. Pick the players that are at their fittest and at their best for each game. We've got a big enough squad. We can afford to rotate it a wee bit. It's a system that counts, and we really, really need to win on Sunday. Really need to.
Yeah, thank you. Hector, Sunday, what do you think? Do you think Rogic will come back on the bench? Maeda start?
I think Rogic will go on the bench.
Gale's in for Taylor, your new friend, Greg Taylor.
I don't know, but just for part, just we're all old enough. It's one of those. It's like Tynecastle, one of those places where you'll go some seasons and maybe get a 4-0 victory, but you tend to go there twice a season. There's always a tough game at these places, right? You've got to just be up for it. I know we're all saying all the positives tonight, but Fir Park's a tight ground. Motherwell's just one of the teams. So It'll be a toughie. Hopefully we can come out convincing winners, obviously, right? Changes, depends how the reaction was for Wednesday night. Obviously it's an extra day's rest, which is good. And I think that impacted us last Saturday. I think we gave so much at Tynecastle on Wednesday night, then played Saturday afternoon. People go, but it's only 2.5 days. Whereas the game against them was 4 days break. And I think for these pros at this level, an extra 24 hours makes a big difference for recovery. So we'll get the extra day for Sunday. I don't think you want to change too much. I think we'll keep momentum going. Maybe 1 or 2, but not much more than that. McGregor's an interesting one. Will he keep McGregor in on Sunday and take the risk at an away venue against a team that will compete, right? Will compete, right? And or will he think, no, I can't have these doubts? I don't know. It's only Ange can answer that. I think the defence, if they're all fit, I would keep it as it is based upon the performance on Wednesday night. Up front, probably keep it as it is. Maeda is the one question mark. Maybe he came back, didn't he, Tuesday? He might be okay to start. And midfield, keep it as it is. Apart from McGregor's my question mark. Only Ange can answer that. But what's good though is that Maeda now could come on after 60, no bother, ready to go. Rogic, ready to go after 60. So we've now got really good options now. And that's only going to increase when Kyogo comes back and others come back, right? So good news.
Yeah, the only concern I had was adrenaline crash, Monty, after a big game and such a big celebration and such a big event, and then you're suddenly back to the humdrum and they kind of try to pick yourself up again. They're only human after all.
Yeah, I think part of it, Desi, will be I don't think the mentality is there to allow an adrenaline crash. Listening to a lot of what the likes of Hart has been talking about in post-match interviews and pre-match interviews, they talk about having a calm and a focus. They don't talk about these highs and lows. They seem to be very much tuned into what it is they're being asked to do. And I think McGregor's actions, and I would suggest in the changing room afterwards, there would have been a lot of, right, boys, calm down, nothing done here. I think Motherwell away is going to be hard. It always is. Aberdeen away is going to be very, very tough next Wednesday. But these are two games that McGregor's been there and done it. Hart's been there and done it. They know you've set the marker, but it means nothing if you don't do it now. I think we'll be even more up for Sunday's game. And if we start the way we started on Wednesday night, there's no reason why we can't do exactly the same. But it's going to be tough. But I wouldn't worry about an adrenaline crash. I'd be more worried about, said it 4 or 5 times now, honest mistakes and the man in the middle.
John Bitton's the referee on Sunday.
Yeah. That's the only thing worries me right now with where we're going. And it's why I said, I think, on Twitter or maybe in one of our WhatsApps, whatever plays out in the next few months, we're on such a wonderful upward trajectory that it really is okay. And devil's advocate now to throw one out and maybe deviate a wee bit. We're back to that O'Neill. In my head, we're back to that O'Neill Seville season. And you convinced me ground on this, Hector, when I didn't think that the Conference League was for us. If you had a choice between a guaranteed league win right now or a 50-50 shot at the league and getting to the final in Baku, what would you take? Or not Baku, sorry, in Albania, Tirana.
Or 50-50 in the final, because I think we'll win the 50-50.
Yeah, but you see that this is the wobble. I remember saying, do you roll a dice on the league and get to that conference final, or do you just say fuck it, the league, and let's not do the conference?
I would just do. I know it's a little boring phrase, but just keep your eye on the ball. Just. It really is, and what impresses me is Ange keeps saying that. Next game, eye on the ball, and what will be. Just the one thing, just so I don't. What just raised the point, right? Fir Park. This is another pivotal weekend on Sunday, right? My opinion. If we win at Fir Park, we go 4 points ahead of them. They play after us, don't they? Yeah, I think if we go 4 points ahead, they won't beat Hearts. I don't think they will. I think if we don't win though, it might swing the other way.
That's interesting. My thought was if Hearts can score, if we can get, I'm going for a 2-1 on Sunday. We can get a 2-1, 2-0 up, and then we'll let a goal in towards the end, the usual. But if we can get a 2-1 and then Hearts can score, I'm actually thinking did they bring Ramsey on for the start, or they try and bring him on as a glamour sub when they're 3-0 up? No, that's sort of why herald the new hero. Or did they have to have a good start and bring him on for the start? To see that wee shite Devlin for Hearts, who just kicks everybody against Ramsey could be interesting. But if Hearts can score the first goal, Hector, then I honestly think they'll just turn on each other and want to kill each other. That's when your Taverniers suddenly disappear. Remember him famously saying, we go into our shell when our fans aren't very happy. That's when our laws start to hide. That's when your Barisiches will hide even more, because they'll be the scapegoats. Goldson will be your super centre half. He'll be thinking, thank God I'm getting out of here. You know what I mean? And that's a dream scenario. As long as we take care of the job in the first game on Sunday.
See, it's psychological as well. They've lost pole position. They've got an awful lot of players that don't want to be there. They've got a couple of guys on loan, and you would imagine the terms of that loan contract meant that these players had to play. So if Ramsey's fit, he has to play. If Diallo is fit, he has to play. And that leaves out a couple of guys that have maybe been over the course for them. You've got Goldson that doesn't want to be there. You've got Barisic that doesn't want to be there. If they lose, if they do go behind, they could collapse completely. They could completely collapse.
A final thought for Pumavelos going all the way to the Columbia squad and not even getting out the hotel. Twice he wasn't even in the squad. But he never made the bench. A £40 million player, Monty. You're laughing there. According to Rangers, that's a £40 million player. How good are Columbia? They've scored 2 goals in 8 games apparently. Anyway, so I think we'll call it a day here. As I say, folks, again, thanks very much for listening. We've got a little outro involving Ange and highlights from the game. So hopefully stay around after we've said our goodbyes to enjoy that. But this leaves it for me, Desmond, to thank Hector Bandido. Thank you, Hector.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you to Monty C. Burns and his dinner tonight.
No, 100%, lads. Thank you.
Lovely. And of course to the man are you still on M62 motorway, Ralph?
No, I pulled over in the car park and chilled out, had a drink.
Okay,
the
man currently dogging in Lancashire to Ralph Malv. Thanks very much. And again, folks, thanks very much for listening. Please subscribe and like where you can. Tell your friends if you like the podcast, and if you don't, please let us know at etims.contact@gmail.com. Okay, we'll leave you with Ange and the highlights from the other night. Thanks very much for listening. Good night.
Game day, boys, yeah? So when you walk out today, just think about one thing, right? You think about the person in your life. As I've always said to you, it could be your mum, could be your dad, could be your brother, sister, uncle, grandfather, partner, friend, coach. Somebody in your life that when you started believed in you more than anyone else. Well done, Fred! And when you said I want to play football and you were passionate about it, they're the ones that made the sacrifices. They're the ones that pushed you. That when people said to you you're not good enough, they're the ones that picked you up and said, no, you keep going.
Oh, they're like, come on, Jack. Oh.
Think about that person. Think about how that person's going to feel when we win tonight. When they're at home and the text messages start coming through to them. And people ringing them, and people sharing the experience with them. And when they wake up tomorrow morning in Australia and everyone wants to talk to them, they'll feel like it's them that's achieved it. And you know what? It is them. Because that's who you're walking out with tonight. When I walk out, my old man's next to me. He's a hard man, my old man. Still is today. But he's the one that kept saying to me, no, you can keep doing what you're doing. You're going to love this game and you're going to make it to the very top. Hard man, though. When we won the Asian Cup, said fucking went to his place because he can't travel. Here's the Asian Cup medal. Dad, he goes, well done, son, but if you'd made a substitution a little bit earlier and you stopped this playing out from the back shit, you wouldn't have gone into extra time and you'd be fine. Still a hard man, can't please him. That's who made me. He walks out with me tonight.
Ange, we talked about the fans, the incredible atmosphere in here tonight. They'll be in their cars, on the buses, on the way home. What's your message to them tonight?
Look, my message is hopefully, them watching the team play. I'm hoping it gives them, we're upholding the values of this football club in terms of not just winning, but the way we're playing our football. I want them to be proud of us, and I hope they are on the journey home tonight, and I'm sure they'll enjoy tonight. Don't know how work will go tomorrow for most of them, but as I said to the players, we had 60,000 in tonight. I'm sure a lot of them walked in with probably some problems in their life. I think for this 95 minutes, we made them forget that and feel good, and that's something special.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ange.
Thanks, mate.
thinking last night about how this game could pan out, this must have been beyond your wildest dreams, because you were so dominant in that first half. It could have been 4 or 5 at least.
You don't know what I dream about, mate. So no, we pretty fortunate. I've experienced some pretty special things in football, but tonight was right up there. From the moment we walked out till 10 minutes after the game, our supporters just did not stop. It was an unbelievable atmosphere, and the beautiful thing is that our players backed that up. They reciprocated by putting on a performance worthy of our support. So I think anyone that was here tonight and going home will remember it for a long time.